Welcome back to our channel, World of Coins. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Abraham Lincoln pennies that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them because it could make you a millionaire overnight. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're going to focus on a coin that might look simple at first glance but holds a hidden treasure beneath the surface, the United States 1 cent coin from 1979. This little coin, which you probably have seen countless times, could be worth a lot more than you might expect. Stick around until the end to discover just how much this 1 cent coin is worth today. Let's take a step back in time to understand the significance of the 1979 1 cent coin. The late 1970s were a period of significant change for the United States. The country was navigating economic challenges, including inflation and the energy crisis. At the time, the 1 cent coin was a vital part of daily transactions, making it one of the most circulated coins in the country. But despite its widespread use, the 1979 1 cent coin stands out for reasons beyond its simple design. Before we get into the specifics of this coin, let's explore its history. The 1979 1 cent coin was minted during the final years of the presidency of Jimmy Carter. The United States was still recovering from the aftermath of the Vietnam War and the civil unrest that came with it. The economy was struggling with rising inflation, and the government was trying to stabilize the financial situation. Amidst all this, the U.S. Mint continued its work of producing currency, and the 1979 penny was one of the many coins produced during that time. While the 1 cent coin has been a staple of American currency for over a century, it wasn't always this design. Over the years, the coin has undergone several redesigns to reflect the changing times and the country's evolving culture. In 1979, the U.S. Mint continued using the design of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, a symbol that had been in use since 1959. This design was the work of sculptor Frank Gasparro and featured the iconic memorial with the words E Pluribus Unum above and United States of America below. On the obverse side, you'll find the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered figures in American history. The portrait of Lincoln, facing to the right, was originally designed by Victor David Brenner and has been a defining feature of the penny since its introduction in 1909. The simplicity and dignity of Lincoln's image, combined with the rich symbolism of the memorial, make the 1979 1 cent coin a lasting representation of American heritage. Now, let's talk about the minting details that make the 1979 1 cent coin interesting for collectors. The U.S. Mint produced over 5 billion pennies in 1979. But don't let the high mintage number fool you. What really makes this coin special is its condition and unique variations. Many of these coins were heavily circulated and have worn down over time, but a few, especially those that escaped significant handling, have become rare treasures. One of the key factors that make the 1979 1 cent coin attractive to collectors is its rarity in uncirculated condition. Coins that have been stored carefully, away from the wear and tear of everyday transactions, are highly sought after in the numismatic world. In particular, a penny that shows no signs of heavy wear, scratches, or discoloration is considered a gem. The more pristine the coin, the higher the value it holds. And it's not just about the general condition. The 1979 penny has also become known for some subtle variations that add to its appeal. Collectors are often on the lookout for coins with unique features, such as misprints or minting errors. The 1979 1 cent coin has had its fair share of these rare mistakes, including doubling of the date or the words on the obverse side. Known as double die errors, these coins feature a noticeable duplication of the design, often adding substantial value to the coin. A 1979 penny with a double die error could be worth thousands of dollars, depending on its condition and the severity of the error. Additionally, there are certain variants of the 1979 penny that have garnered attention, such as the 1979 S-proof penny. This proof coin was minted in San Francisco and was produced specifically for collectors, rather than for circulation. It has a distinctive, shiny finish and is typically found in much better condition than the standard circulation strikes. The 1979 S-proof penny, when found in perfect condition, is a highly prized addition to any collection. but what about the most exciting part? How much is the 1979 1-cent coin worth today? Well, if you have a 1979 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one with a notable minting error like a double die, it could be worth an impressive amount of money. Some of the rarest 1979 pennies have been known to fetch prices in the tens of thousands of dollars at auctions. Depending on its condition, rarity, and whether it has a minting error, the value of this penny could reach as high as $54,000, that's right, $54,000 for a single 1-cent coin. It's hard to believe that such a small piece of currency could hold so much value, but the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. So, if you happen to have a 1979 penny lying around in a drawer or jar, it might be time to give it a closer look. It could be worth far more than its face value. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the 1979 1-cent coin. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it's always exciting to discover the hidden treasures in your coin collection. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss out on more fascinating stories from the world of coins. Top 2, we're diving into a fascinating and often overlooked piece of American currency, the 1981 United States 1-cent coin. While it may seem like just another penny, this coin carries a unique place in American history and has captured the attention of collectors around the world. You might be surprised to learn just how much value this tiny coin holds. Stick around until the end to find out exactly how much this 1-cent coin is worth today. Let's travel back to the early 1980s, a time of significant economic shifts in the United States. The 1980s marked the beginning of a new era of economic policies under President Ronald Reagan, who had taken office in January 1981. The country was grappling with high inflation rates and unemployment, remnants of the 1970s oil crisis, and the aftermath of the Vietnam War. The U.S. Mint, however, continued to produce coins, and the 1981 1-cent coin became a key part of the nation's everyday currency during this turbulent time. The 1981 penny is an important symbol of this transitional period. The 1981 coin design itself was not drastically different from previous years, yet it carries subtle nuances that make it unique in the world of coin collecting. While the design of the 1-cent coin had been unchanged since 1909, with President Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the minting process and the quality of the coins produced began to evolve. The 1981 penny was struck during a time when the U.S. Mint was working to address several issues, including rising production costs and the desire for more efficient coinage. By the time the 1981 penny was minted, the copper content had been slightly altered in response to fluctuating metal prices, marking an important shift in the coin's composition. The penny was still made mostly of copper, but the mint started experimenting with a mixture that would eventually lead to the transition to zinc-plated steel pennies in 1982. This meant that the 1981 1-cent coin is one of the last to contain a significant amount of copper, which is one reason why it has become more desirable among collectors today. Looking at the coin's design, you'll see the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This portrait of Lincoln, originally created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, has graced the penny since its introduction in 1909. The obverse also carries the words "Liberty" and the year of minting, 1981, along with the phrase, "In God We Trust," above Lincoln's head. The simple yet powerful design continues to honor the legacy of one of America's most revered presidents. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, an enduring symbol of Lincoln's legacy. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the reverse side shows the memorial with its famous columns and the inscription "E pluribus unum" above it. The coin's reverse has remained unchanged since it was introduced in 1959, and its depiction of the memorial has become an iconic part of American numismatic history. While the design and composition of the 1981 penny were standard for the era, it's the condition and rarity of the coin that make it particularly intriguing for collectors. Like many coins produced in large quantities, most 1981 pennies were heavily circulated, and their condition has deteriorated over time. However, some pristine examples of the 1981 1-cent coin, especially those in uncirculated or near mint condition, have become valuable finds. what makes the 1981 penny even more appealing to collectors is the presence of minting errors and variations. As with many coins from the late 20th century, small mistakes made during the minting process can significantly increase the value of a coin. For instance, certain 1981 pennies feature slight design variations, such as double die errors on the obverse, where the words or numbers appear to be doubled or slightly misaligned. These errors are incredibly rare and highly sought after, often fetching prices far beyond the value of a typical penny. Additionally, there are examples of the 1981 penny with unusual features like off-center strikes or missing elements from the design, making them even more intriguing for collectors who enjoy the hunt for rare and unique pieces. These types of minting errors are especially prized by those who specialize in error coins, and they can dramatically increase the value of the 1981 penny. Now, the moment you've been waiting for: just how much is the 1981 1-cent coin worth today? If you have an uncirculated 1981 penny, one that has been carefully preserved and is free from wear or damage, it could be worth significantly more than its face value. But the real value comes if you happen to have a rare 1981 penny with a minting error or unique feature. Coins with such errors can fetch up to $49,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right, $49,000 for a single 1981 1-cent coin. While most 1981 pennies are worth just 1 cent, the rarity of these well-preserved and error-struck coins makes them highly valuable in the numismatic market. If you come across a 1981 penny in your collection, or if you find one while browsing through old coins, it's definitely worth giving it a closer look to check for any unique characteristics or minting errors. That we hope you enjoyed learning about the fascinating history and potential value of the 1981 1-cent coin. As always, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and there's always something new to discover. Top 3, we're exploring a coin that might not get as much attention as some others, but it has quietly become one of the more valuable and interesting pieces in modern American currency history, the 1992 United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, this penny may seem like any other you've seen in your pocket or collection, but stick with us as we dive into the history, design, minting details, and collector appeal of this coin, culminating in a big reveal of just how much it could be worth today. Let's start with some historical context. The year 1992 was a pivotal time in American history. The country was coming out of the economic recession of the early 90s, and it was a period of political change as well, with Bill Clinton winning the presidency that year. On the global stage, the end of the Cold War was still fresh, and the United States was adjusting to its role as the world's sole superpower in a new international landscape. It was also a time of transition for American currency. The U.S. Mint had been producing the 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny, for decades. By 1992, the penny's design had remained largely unchanged for many years. The obverse, which features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, was still the same design introduced in 1909, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This timeless image of Lincoln, paired with the inscription "Liberty" and the year of minting, remains one of the most iconic symbols of American numismatics. The reverse of the 1992 penny also still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in place since 1959. The reverse carries the words "E Pluribus Unum" above the memorial and "United States of America" below it. While the penny's design remained the same for many years, small shifts in the minting process and production techniques have made coins like the 1992 1-cent penny highly collectible today. During the 1992 coin production, the United States Mint was dealing with several challenges, including rising metal prices and the increasing cost of coin production. By this time, the U.S. Mint had begun experimenting with different metal compositions to keep costs down, and this would eventually lead to the shift away from using nearly all copper in pennies. The 1992 penny is still composed primarily of copper, but as metal prices rose, the government was starting to explore alternatives to the copper-rich penny we were used to. This change in metal composition would become a key part of the penny's transformation over the next few years. For coin collectors, it's important to note that while most 1992 pennies were produced in large quantities, they weren't always produced in pristine condition. As with any coin that is widely circulated, the majority of 1992 pennies show signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration from being in people's pockets, vending machines, and everyday transactions. However, some 1992 pennies have been kept in immaculate condition, and it is these well-preserved coins that have become particularly valuable. One of the key factors that make the 1992 penny so interesting to collectors is the presence of minting errors and subtle variations that can make certain coins stand out from the rest. For instance, the 1992 penny has been known to have some rare varieties, such as the 1992 close AM penny. Most of the 1992 pennies have a design where the letters A and M in the word America are spaced a certain way, but in the 1992 close AM variety, the A and M are much closer together than normal. This subtle design variation makes the close AM pennies highly sought after by collectors. Finding one of these 1992 close AM pennies in excellent condition is a real prize. This error occurs due to a shift in the dies used to strike the coins, and when the dies aren't properly aligned, it can result in noticeable differences in the design, like the close spacing of letters. These kinds of small yet significant errors are a treasure for collectors, as they add a unique aspect to a coin's history and value. In fact, the 1992 close AM penny is one of the more famous and valuable varieties in the world of modern U.S. coinage. Beyond minting errors, another reason the 1992 penny holds collector appeal is the general interest in low mintage years. While the 1992 penny wasn't one of the lowest mintage years in history, certain variations of this coin, including certain minting locations and condition, have made it more desirable. For example, pennies minted in San Francisco as proof coins, marked with an S, often carry a higher price than those minted in Philadelphia or Denver. Collectors who specialize in proof coins find these pieces especially valuable because they were struck with higher quality dies and were intended specifically for collectors, not for circulation. Now, let's talk about the real value of the 1992 1-cent coin. Most 1992 pennies, even in excellent condition, are worth only their face value of 1 cent. However, the rare varieties, particularly the 1992 close AM penny, have a much higher value. If you're fortunate enough to have one of these rare coins in uncirculated condition, or even better, one with a significant minting error or variation, you could be sitting on a small fortune. While the value can vary depending on the exact condition and rarity of the coin, a 1992 close AM penny has been known to fetch as much as $37,000 in auctions. That's right, $37,000 for a single penny, just for being one of the rarest examples of this specific design. The more pristine the condition, the more value it holds in the eyes of collectors. So, if you have a 1992 penny lying around in your collection, now might be the perfect time to check its condition and look for any of those rare features or errors. You could be holding on to a valuable coin without even realizing it. Top 4, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating and often underrated coins in American numismatics, the 1991 United States 1-cent coin. Now, you might think of this as just another penny, but trust me, this coin has more value than you could ever imagine. Whether you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned expert, this coin is something you'll definitely want to know about. Stick with us until the end to discover just how much this 1-cent coin could be worth in today's market. Let's first set the stage by looking back at 1991, the year this penny was minted. The early 90s were a time of political and economic change in the United States. In 1991, the country was navigating the tail end of the Gulf War, with the conflict coming to a close early that year. On the domestic front, President George H.W. Bush was in office, dealing with an economy in the midst of a recession. Unemployment was high, and inflation was still a concern for many Americans. However, through all the challenges, life went on, and the United States Mint continued to produce currency for everyday transactions, including the familiar 1-cent coin. The 1991 penny was minted during a period of stability in terms of design, as the U.S. Mint had long established the design of the 1-cent coin. The obverse of the coin features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most recognized figures in American history. Sculptor Victor David Brenner's design, which has graced the penny since its debut in 1909, remains a symbol of strength, perseverance, and unity in the United States. Surrounding Lincoln's image are the words, Liberty, the year, 1991, and the national motto, In God We Trust. These elements remain iconic, carrying forward the legacy of a president who helped shape the nation. On the reverse of the 1991 penny, you'll find the image of the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. The memorial has been a part of the coin's design since 1959, representing the strength and unity that Abraham Lincoln stood for. In the design, you can see the memorial's columns and the inscription, E pluribus unum, above. The reverse of the 1-cent coin is a reminder of Lincoln's lasting legacy and his impact on the United States. Although the design of the 1991 penny was standard for the time, it's the details behind the minting process that make this coin an intriguing piece for collectors. At this time, the United States Mint was still producing pennies made primarily of copper, which had been the standard since the coin's creation. However, rising copper prices were already starting to have an impact on the cost of minting coins, and this would lead to changes in the composition of the penny just a year later. In 1992, the U.S. Mint began shifting towards a different mixture of metals, with pennies being produced primarily from zinc and only coated with copper. This change came as a response to the rising costs of copper and its impact on the price of producing coins. However, the 1991 penny, like its predecessors, was still composed mainly of copper, which adds an element of historic significance to the coin. The 1991 penny, like many coins of its time, was produced in large numbers, and most were circulated for everyday use. These pennies passed through the hands of countless Americans, from vending machines to wallets, contributing to the wear and tear that many coins experience over the years. The vast majority of 1991 pennies you'll find in circulation today show signs of use, with faded designs, scratches, and discoloration. However, it's the coins that have remained in excellent condition, free from damage, that are the real treasures in the world of coin collecting. What makes the 1991 penny particularly interesting to collectors is the fact that certain minting errors and varieties have been discovered over the years. Minting errors, such as double die errors, can add significant value to a coin. A double die error occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once, resulting in a slight overlap or duplication of some of the letters or numbers. These errors can be subtle, but when they're spotted, they can increase the coin's worth by a significant margin. Some collectors specifically look for these types of errors, as they add an element of rarity and uniqueness to the coin. The 1991 penny is no exception. There have been reports of 1991 pennies with double die errors, where certain features, such as the letters in the word Liberty or the date 1991, appear slightly doubled. These coins are highly sought after, and they command higher prices on the market due to their rarity and the extra layer of intrigue they provide to collectors. Beyond minting errors, there's another aspect of the 1991 penny that has captured the attention of collectors: its role in the broader context of U.S. coinage. The 1991 penny is one of the last years to feature a primarily copper composition before the major changes in the early 1990s. As a result, collectors often seek out pennies from this era as part of the larger trend of collecting coins that represent a specific moment in time or a specific composition of metals. The 1991 penny stands as a piece of numismatic history, marking the transition from the old copper penny to the newer, less expensive alloy that would take over the following year. Now, the big question: how much is a 1991 1-cent coin worth today? While most 1991 pennies are still worth just their face value of 1 cent, certain examples can command far more. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are worth more than average coins due to their rarity. But what really makes the 1991 penny stand out is the presence of minting errors, especially the double die variety. If you happen to have a 1991 penny with a noticeable error, or if it's in flawless condition, it could be worth a small fortune. The value of a 1991 penny, in exceptional condition or with an error, can reach up to $38,000 at auction. That's right, $38,000 for a single penny, just because it contains a rare mistake or has been preserved in near-perfect condition. Collectors prize these coins not just for their rarity, but for the historical context they represent and the fascinating stories behind their creation. If you're lucky enough to have a 1991 penny in your collection, or if you come across one in your coin hunting adventures, take a close look. You might just be holding on to something that could change your collecting journey forever. Top 5 and last rare coins. We're going to focus on a coin that many people overlook, yet it has become one of the most sought-after pennies in the world, the 1985 United States 1-cent coin. Now, you may think that a 1-cent coin from 1985 doesn't sound like much, but as we dive into its history, design, and the fascinating details behind its minting, you'll see why it's a coin that could be worth far more than you expect. Stick around to the end, because we're going to reveal its impressive current value. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year 1985 was a time of change and growth in the United States. Ronald Reagan was in the middle of his second term as president, and the country was experiencing a period of economic recovery following the early 80s recession. In the world of coinage, the U.S. Mint was busy producing currency for everyday use, including the familiar 1-cent coin. But 1985 was also an important year for the penny in a larger context, as the U.S. was beginning to see some subtle changes in how coins were being produced. The 1985 1-cent coin, like all pennies from the 1980s, was struck from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was the standard for the penny at the time, before the shift to a primarily zinc composition in the 1990s. Copper was still a valuable metal, and the penny's weight and size remained consistent with previous years. Little did anyone know, though, that this penny, though humble in its appearance, would later become a coveted piece for collectors. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1985 penny. The obverse, or front of the coin, features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. This image, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, has been on the penny since 1909. Over the decades, it has become one of the most recognizable faces in American currency. The portrait of Lincoln is surrounded by the word liberty, the year 1985, and the phrase, "In God We Trust." This design, which honors the legacy of one of America's most beloved presidents, has remained virtually unchanged for over a century, making it a constant in the ever-changing world of coinage. On the reverse of the coin, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. The memorial has adorned the back of the penny since 1959, representing Lincoln's enduring influence on the nation. The design is rich in detail, showing the memorial's columns and a serene view of the statue of Lincoln seated inside. Surrounding the memorial are the words E Pluribus Unum and United States of America, further solidifying the penny's status as a symbol of American values. While the design of the 1985 penny remained unchanged, the minting process was evolving. In the early 1980s, rising copper prices were beginning to make the cost of producing pennies more expensive. As a result, the U.S. Mint started experimenting with different metal compositions to cut costs while maintaining the look and feel of the penny. These changes would eventually lead to a shift in the composition of the penny in the mid-1990s. However, in 1985, the penny was still made mostly of copper, which is part of what makes this coin so special. Despite being produced in large quantities in 1985, most of these pennies were used for everyday transactions, passing through countless hands and being subjected to wear and tear. By the time they reach us today, the vast majority of 1985 pennies you'll find in circulation are worn, scratched, or discolored. The coin's design, once sharp and detailed, can often appear faded or damaged, which is common for coins that have been in circulation for decades. But it's not just any 1985 penny that is valuable, it's the ones that are in pristine, uncirculated condition that are of interest to collectors. As with any coin, the better the condition, the higher the value. An uncirculated 1985 penny, kept in a mint state, can be a rare find. But there's more to it than just that. There are also certain variations and minting errors that can make a 1985 penny worth far more than its face value. One of the most interesting features that can make a 1985 penny stand out is the presence of minting errors. For example, the 1985 penny has been known to have a few varieties with slight die errors that can make it unique. These could include double die errors, where some of the letters or numbers appear slightly doubled or misaligned. These errors happen when the coin's design dies are not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in coins with a subtle but noticeable flaw. Minting errors, even small ones, can greatly increase the value of a coin, as collectors prize these as unique, one-of-a-kind pieces. Another reason the 1985 penny is of interest to collectors is its historical context. While the 1985 penny was not one of the lowest mintage years for the 1-cent coin, it's part of a broader trend of coins from the 1980s that collectors seek out. The 1985 penny represents a specific era of U.S. coinage, just before the changes in metal composition that would occur in the 1990s, and just after the penny was struck almost exclusively in copper. For collectors focusing on the years leading up to this shift, the 1985 penny is an important piece to add to their collections. Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for: how much could a 1985 penny be worth today? Well, while most 1985 pennies are still worth just their face value of 1 cent, there's one special type of 1985 penny that has gained significant value. If you're lucky enough to have a 1985 penny in mint condition, or even better, one with a rare minting error or die variety, you could be holding on to a real treasure. The value of a 1985 penny in exceptional condition, or with a minting error, can reach up to $34,000. Yes, you heard that right, $34,000 for a single penny, just for being one of the rarest examples of this coin. These high-value pennies are prized not only for their rarity but also for the fascinating stories they tell about U.S. coinage and the history behind them. So, if you happen to have a 1985 penny in your collection or come across one while coin hunting, be sure to take a close look. It could be worth a lot more than you think. Whether it's a pristine example or one with a rare minting error, the 1985 penny could be your ticket to a valuable find. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the 1985 United States 1-cent coin. The world of coin collecting is filled with surprises, and coins like this remind us how much history and value can be packed into the smallest of pieces. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on future discoveries. Happy hunting, and we'll see you next time.